Alyse, hello.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going good. Happy Monday. How about you?
Oh, good. Yourself? Shit.
Yeah. Ready for the week,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How are things in Michigan, right? You're still over there?
No, I live in South Florida now.
Okay. All right. Well, how's that?
It's good. Not really much different than Michigan since I don't go outside.
All right. All right. I mean, what prompted that move?
Just trading at ATT, American Top Team, and more training partners.
Of course. Of course. I'm sure that's been a nice luxury to have. Can't go wrong with ATT, really.
Yeah. No, not really.
So when are you heading out to Singapore?
This Saturday.
Okay, all right. So still got a full week to enjoy it, and I'm sure have fun on the long flight. It's always a good long one.
Yeah. I'm not super excited about that, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, how was the first experience in Singapore? I mean, unfortunately, the fight didn't go your way, but how was it just out there the first time?
Uh, there was like so many COVID restrictions that other than getting like my sleep schedule switched around, which was easy because I just stayed up like for like the whole travel. So when I got there at nighttime, I was so tired that I slept through the night and then was on Singapore time like by the next morning. And like they didn't let us leave the hotel, like literally just to go to the venue. And I was like answering questions with an interviewer in like the car. So I didn't even get to look out the window or nothing. But I heard that they've kind of like lifted a few like for the fighters, so I'm like most excited. I think about that.
Yeah, I mean that's no fun not getting to explore such a beautiful place. I've been there once before, and this was years ago. I think like 2015 maybe. So not during the pandemic, but hopefully you do get to explore a little bit more because it is a very nice place.
Hey, did you have a good time when you were there?
Oh yeah, it was great. It was my graduation present actually, so I got to fly on over there and see the sights. So yeah, it is very nice and great food too. So hopefully you can get that this time after the
Yeah,
fight, right? After the weight stuff's all done.
definitely after.
Yes, of course. But I mean, just to look back on that last one, Alyse, I mean, a great performance by you still, even in defeat. You had the knockdown there in the third round. Like, just what were the biggest takeaways from that fight? Getting your feet wet in the one championship cage for the first time.
I definitely think like I was just too hesitant. Probably definitely the nerves, taking like a big layoff and then being on such a big stage with like the pressure of the tournament and going against an undefeated fighter at the time. I think that I respected like her punching power too much because like all my coaches did the whole time was warn me of like her overhand right. So I was pretty like nervous to like engage and like that's almost why I feel like I engaged in the grappling is because I didn't want to, which was like the worst mistake ever because I was doing well until I engaged on the grappling and then that's when I got taken down and stuff, even though like I initiated the grappling. But then when I like saw in the third round when I let my hands go that I was actually a lot more successful. So I just wish I would have fought in the third round like I did throughout the whole fight. But it was a learning experience, and like I'll take that into the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's all you can do, right? Is just learn from what went down and take the experience away. And I mean, what was the weight difference nice for you? Because right, normally fought at 105 and Invicta, and then you get the extra 10 in this one. Did that was that nicer for you? Like, how did you take that part?
I mean, like I like thought it would be so much nicer. Like be like, oh, for 115, I can do that easy. But then like in camp, I feel like you're just like even like this fight still like you just because you have that allowance, you're like still like trying to get like bigger and bigger because like the other girls are gonna be like have that advantage. So now I'm like in the position of like, okay, it's actually gonna be like a little trickier than I thought, to get down hydrated 115 and stuff. But yeah, not having to go to all the way five is really nice. And I'm sure like my kidneys and everything thank me as
They
well.
appreciate that. I mean, yeah, you were a pretty big, 105 or so. I'm sure that it is definitely nice to have that. And so, have you changed like anything in terms of, you were saying right there, like I don't know, packing on more muscle, taking some away? Like any different approach at all for this fight?
No, my last fight I was about like this same size, like going into it. But I do think like between the time I fought in Invicta making 105 and like the year and a half that I took between like off of COVID and then to fight again, like I put on more weight just because like I was following like a strict lifting program because I couldn't get in the MMA gym as much as I wanted. And because I wasn't signed with one, I thought about going to 115 to possibly fight in the UFC. So um like I was already trying to get bigger and then so I just like I don't know if I could, I definitely could. I just wouldn't want to like
Right.
have to come all the way back down again. I've worked so hard to get like above 120 walking weight. That would be rough.
Yeah, of course. Again, got to think about the kidneys a little bit at least. So take care of yourself there. But I mean, you mentioned the layoff there. Was it mostly because of COVID? Right. It was kind of 2019 to what last year. So half and half a little bit. Any specific other reason?
Well, I was working in the hospital and so like when COVID hit, they were like super understaffed and because like each fight I take like I was taking 6 to 8 weeks off like from my job completely like they would grant me like a leave of absence so you're just like off the schedule like you don't use your pt like your pay time off and it's not like a sick day you're just like off the schedule for 8 weeks it's like a pre-hire agreement but because like COVID was so crazy I like knew that I shouldn't even like ask for that and like I didn't even plan on like knowing I was going to fight next until like one came with like this opportunity and I was like if I'm going to take this then I need to be able to train full time and like not work at the hospital because they're definitely not going to grant me like 8 weeks off during these times so that's like how it all worked out and why I was away for so long.
Yeah, definitely makes sense, especially with the climate that I had to go through there. But are you still then working on that job, or is it full time MMA now that you're with one?
uh, Ever since I signed with one it's been full-time MMA.
All right, all right. So I'm sure is that nice for you then? I mean, not having to juggle things as much.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't have any friends really because like you don't really meet anyone like when you don't go to work. But so I like meet my work buddies, but
Training
uh
partners.
yeah, training partners. But it's also like super competitive in the gym. So like we don't all really hang out outside as much maybe as like other gyms do, but I don't mind that. I like the competitiveness and just to like keep focusing on training.
Yeah, I mean that's probably why everybody at ATT is so darn good. So it's just a method to the madness a little bit. But and as for the one debut though, like you got to be on One Empower, which was their first, all female show. Which that's nothing new for you, but was it kind of cool to go from like, all right, I'm already in, have been in an all women's promotion, very cool to see in mixed martial arts, and then a bigger much bigger promotion that does multiple sports and all that. Give some love to the ladies specifically with that one card.
Yeah, and like being like the Grand Prix tournament and feeling like super special to represent like the US and going there and like it wasn't just like an average debut. I felt like there was like a lot of and because it got postponed like
Right.
in 6 months. So it was like a lot of pressure and then okay, now COVID again and the pressure's off and then right back into training camp and like I think I another reason I respected her so much is because it was like so long preparing for her that when I got in there, I like, I've been thinking about this now for like 7 to 8 months. We've been scheduled to fight. So like I obviously been training for like, oh, her power, her overhand right. And then when I actually got hit by it, it was like I've been nervous for 8 months for this. But yeah, so um yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, having that additional time certainly, I imagine, wouldn't help with the nerves. Kind of adds on a little bit. It's like, let's get here already.
Yeah, ready to fight.
For sure. But don't have to wait long now for the next one and taking on Asha Roka, who she's out coming off a layoff herself, hasn't fought, I think, since early 2020, about been 2 years or so for her. I mean, just what do you know about her? Have you been studying up much or you leave that to the coaches? Just what do you think of this matchup?
I left it to the coaches like at the beginning just because like I don't like to psych myself out. Like I feel like I kind of did the last time. And then I did end up watching like her fight with Stamp and stuff. And I knew she was a boxer, which I have like Kayla Harak at the gym, who's known as like good boxing. And, you know, a lot of other girls. I mean, at ATT, there's like good girls at everything. You can find like the best grappler and go around with them, and then you know turn around and have the best boxer in the gym too. So, really like using like those training partners that I know are going to give me like the best looks fighting a boxer. So, I mostly have been just like prepared that she's going to like kind of be how she. I don't think she's going to grow much from her last fight until now, fighting wise.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be interesting to see how she does come in with the gap, you know, if the ring rust plays a factor. And I mean, speaking of that, like, did you feel any of that? You know, it's of course a mythical thing. People agree that it's real or not, but coming in off of your layoff, like, did that play, do you think that played a part at all for you? And, you know, if it will for her?
I think it does just like with the pressure of like dealing with fight week and like I also lost my Invicta debut, but then like went on and won two. And now I lost my one debut. And I feel like it was kind of like the same thing like with Invicta going from like a regional to like a little bigger show was like, you know, you're signing posters for the first time, like you're doing more than just showing up to weigh-ins and showing up to fight. Like you have interviews now and just like that, like next level. Like you're always gonna have a little pressure. So I do think like the fact that she's had the layoff and now she's like going right back into like a big show might, but I honestly like whether it does or doesn't for her, I like expect that she's going to be like 100% prepared.
Right. I mean, that's the only way you can go at it, right? Prepare for the best person possible ahead of you. So totally makes sense there. And you know, just speaking of like that activity, I imagine you're wanting to get more active going forward. Obviously, much sooner here from this last fight with Itsuki to this one. But like, how many fights do you kind of hoping to get in before the end of this year?
Um, like play. I try to take like one fight at a time, but I definitely want to like fight again, like this summer, and then like before. So possibly like three fights total this year.
Okay, is that kind of an ideal number?
Yeah, that's like what between my management and my parents have talked about is trying to get in like three fights this year.
All right, very cool, very cool. And you mentioned Stamp, her fight with Asha. I imagine you definitely saw the fight with Angela. So I mean, I'm just curious, what'd you make of that one? It was kind of a crazy one. She almost pulled it off there in the first round, but what'd you think watching the title fight?
That's kind of like how I pictured it going, like predicted and stuff. And you know, getting to see Angela back in there, like I've always like been a fan of her since I started watching her fight, especially because there's not that many like atom weights. So like even being in Invicta, getting to like see other atom weights on a big promotion, you know, I watched her a lot. So that's I knew that if that's like where the fight would go, that then Angela would pull it off. And but they're both like really talented and exciting fighters. And I knew after I was out of the tournament that it would end up being her versus Stamp. So
Yeah, that's how it played out. And I mean, for you, at least, like you just said, you don't like to look ahead too much. One fight at a time, totally understandable. Put the focus on what's right in front of you. But like for you, I mean, how quickly would you like to, you know, climb to the top and face the Stamps and Angelas? Of course, Stamp was right there, but Angela, the champ, like to get to a title shot, you know, how quickly would you want that to come? I know it's still early on in the career, but like, you think about that at all?
honestly, like I haven't thought really about it just because like just getting like my first win with one under my belt will be like just that next like
Right.
on the ladder because like I'm really like not trying to look past this. But that obviously like is the end goal and like long term thinking. So that's kind of like why the three fights in a year. If like I can get three wins this year, like I think starting out next year could like put me in title contention. But um yeah, just one fight at a time. Like I'm fighting next weekend, so I should be talking about it. That, but yeah.
My bad. That's all me. So no need. But yes, Asha Roka is right ahead of you, of course. But I mean, just to take the mind off MMA, at least like hobbies outside of MMA, are there other things? I know you said you don't have too many friends, which sounds very sad. But if that's how you like it, like what are some things you like to do when you're not practicing face punching and whatnot?
Like when I go home to Michigan, like I have like all my dirt bikes there, and like I'm hoping that I can like race a couple races like in between. Like from Singapore, I'm flying back to Michigan instead of my apartment here, so that I can like hopefully take like 2 weeks and just hang out in Michigan and ride my dirt bikes like while it's actually nice in Michigan before it gets cold and snows again. But here in Florida, I don't really do anything.
Just
I just,
chilling.
yeah, I go to the beach like sometimes on Sunday. That's it.
I was gonna say I've seen you posting the pictures with what your tequila sponsor, right?
Oh yeah, that is my one of my favorite sponsors. Like the free tequila bottle shipments are always exciting, except when you're in fight camp and you're like, okay, gotta save this for after. Send it
Right.
back to Michigan.
Yeah, that's like the motivation. To just you stare at it and you're like, I'll open you soon.
Yeah,
Soon.
celebrating.
I mean, you mentioned the dirt biking though, and did you say you actually race? Because I have a cousin who he's done the races before, and so, or is it more of like just a thing you do for fun?
Oh yeah, I have raced like till I was like 15, 14, 15, and then I played college soccer, so my parents like didn't want me like entering races, so then it kind of just became like for fun with the guys that still race. But because I've like fought at the end of summer, like last year, and then the year before that was COVID and stuff. They didn't have any races going on, but I did get them to agree that I can this summer. So
All
like I've
right.
already my buddies that like take me to all the tracks, and they're like, "We're definitely entering you this year, like at least one." And I'm like, "I just want to get like one dirt bike trophy to take home with me. That's it."
Yeah, that'd be really cool for sure. So, like, if MMA wasn't an option, at least would it? What would it be between soccer player or dirt bike rider? Which pro path would you go with?
Well, I don't think I was good enough as a soccer player to go pro or dirt bikes. I'm not good enough in either to go pro, but I probably at least would have finished out like playing college soccer for the 4 years instead of quitting and then going back to school. And then like I'll always ride dirt bike with my buddies because they're all really good and they're pros. So like I don't care that I'm like the one, and they don't care either that they like just drag me to the track and they all cheer me on even though they like go laps around me.
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah, they're
That's
all really
funny.
supportive even though I'm not that good.
Well, hey, those are good friends to have then. So, but thankfully, you don't have to worry about that. The MMA career is working out pretty well. So, all right, Alyse, I won't leave you any longer. It was great getting to chat with you. Very excited to see you back in there already, taking on a good opponent. Get that second sophomore appearance in the One Championship circle. Hope you get to explore Singapore a little bit more this time. Enjoy maybe some of the food afterward and whatnot. But just appreciate you taking the time so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your week and Monday, all that stuff. And I'll be watching. So thank you so much for the time.
Yeah, thank you.